Angela Parker stood at the nurse's station, her hands busy organizing patient charts while her mind drifted to the events of the day. The fluorescent lights above hummed softly, casting a sterile glow over the bustling corridors of St. Mary's General Hospital. It was a familiar rhythm, patients in and out, the urgent beeping of monitors, and the constant shuffle of feet echoing against polished floors. Yet, despite the chaos, Angela felt a profound sense of purpose in her work. She had always believed that nursing was more than just a job, it was a calling, a chance to make a difference in people's lives, but today, as she glanced at the clock ticking away on the wall, she couldn't shake off the weight of exhaustion settling in her bones. It had been a long week filled with back-to-back shifts and sleepless nights, each one blending into the next like watercolors on a canvas. Angela adjusted her scrubs, a small act of defiance against the whispers that seemed to follow her every step. She had worked twice as hard to be here, yet the world around her often made her feel invisible. As she filed through charts, Angela's gaze drifted toward the entrance of the pediatric ward. That's when she saw her, the girl who had captured her attention for weeks now. Maya Johnson was small for her age, with dark curls bouncing around her face and an infectious smile that seemed to light up even the coldest corners of the hospital. Every day, Maya walked through those doors with an air of joy that was almost palpable, a stark contrast to the somber atmosphere that typically enveloped St. Mary's. Angela watched as Maya skipped down the hallway, her laughter ringing like music against the sterile walls. It was a sound that drew Angela in, igniting a flicker of warmth in her heart amid the daily grind. But there was something more to Maya than met the eye. Angela couldn't help but wonder why this young girl frequented the hospital so often. Was she a patient? A visitor? Or perhaps something else entirely? Each day brought new questions that lingered in Angela's mind like unfinished sentences. Maya paused at a nurse's station further down the hall, chatting animatedly with one of the nurses as if they were old friends. Angela felt an inexplicable pull toward this child who seemed to embody resilience and hope in a place often defined by fear and uncertainty. She wanted to know Maya's story, to understand what brought such light into this world filled with shadows. As Angela returned to her work, she found herself stealing glances at Maya throughout her shift. The girl would sometimes wave or flash a smile in Angela's direction, and each time it felt like a tiny spark igniting something deep within her, a reminder of why she chose this path despite its challenges. But as evening approached and shadows lengthened across the hospital floor, Angela's curiosity morphed into determination. Today would be different. Today she would find out more about Maya Johnson. With each tick of the clock echoing in her ears, she resolved to follow Maya after her shift ended. The thought sent a thrill through Angela, a mix of excitement and apprehension. What if she discovered something profound? What if she learned that Maya's cheerful facade masked deeper struggles? The possibilities danced in her mind as she finished up her tasks and prepared for what lay ahead. As she clocked out and stepped into the dimly lit corridor leading to the exit, Angela felt a rush of adrenaline course through her veins. She spotted Maya once more, still chatting with another nurse before turning to head toward an area Angela had never ventured into before, the waiting room filled with families whose lives hung in delicate balance. With cautious steps, Angela followed at a distance, blending into the backdrop of hospital life as she observed Maya's interactions. Each moment felt significant, each smile exchanged held weight. Little did she know that this decision would set off a chain of events that would challenge everything she believed about herself and those around her. In that moment, as she trailed behind Maya through the maze of hallways and rooms filled with uncertainty, Angela Parker took her first step toward unraveling not just Maya's story but also her own, a journey that would intertwine their lives in ways neither could have anticipated. Maya Johnson moved through the hospital like a ray of sunshine, piercing through a cloudy sky. Her laughter echoed down the sterile halls, drawing smiles from tired nurses and weary patients alike. Angela Parker watched from a distance as Maya flitted from one corner of the pediatric ward to another, her small frame radiating an energy that seemed to defy the somber atmosphere surrounding them. It was a stark contrast that Angela found both captivating and perplexing. As she observed, Angela felt a pang of longing. She remembered her own childhood, the innocence, the dreams, and the unfiltered joy of simply being alive. But those memories were often overshadowed by the realities of adulthood, where struggles and responsibilities weighed heavily on her shoulders. Maya, however, seemed untouched by such burdens. The girl's spirit was a reminder of what it meant to hope, to believe in better days ahead. Angela's shift began to wind down, but her curiosity about Maya only deepened. She had learned to appreciate the little moments in her own life, but watching Maya brought forth a yearning to understand the girl's world. What made her come to this hospital every day? Did she have family here? Was she sick? Each question gnawed at Angela's mind as she finished her tasks for the day. After clocking out, Angela hesitated for a moment at the nurse's station. She could hear Maya's laughter ringing out again, this time mingling with the soft murmurs of concerned parents and the beeping of monitors. With a determined breath, Angela decided to follow Maya more closely this time. She stepped into the waiting room, where families sat in clusters, some holding hands tightly while others stared blankly at their phones or the flickering television mounted on the wall. Maya was there, sitting cross-legged on the floor with a few other children who had gathered around her. They were playing a game with brightly colored cards, Maya animatedly explaining the rules with gestures that made even the most serious adults smile. Angela felt a warmth swell in her chest as she watched. It was as if Maya had transformed the waiting room into a haven of laughter and joy amidst uncertainty. As Angela leaned against the wall, she noticed a woman sitting nearby, Maya's mother. The woman looked exhausted, her eyes heavy with worry as she glanced occasionally at her daughter. Angela felt an urge to approach but hesitated, unsure of how to start a conversation with someone who might be dealing with so much. Just then, Maya bounded over to her mother, holding up a card triumphantly. "Look, Mom! I won!" The woman smiled faintly, reaching out to ruffle Maya's hair affectionately. In that moment, Angela caught a glimpse of their bond, a connection that seemed both tender and fraught with unspoken fears. The vibrant energy of childhood was juxtaposed against the somber reality of their situation. Angela could see it in the lines etched on Maya's mother's face, the worry that came with having a sick child or perhaps facing financial struggles that loomed like dark clouds overhead. It struck Angela deeply. She felt an overwhelming desire to help but didn't know how. As Maya returned to her game, Angela summoned her courage and approached Maya's mother. "Excuse me," she said softly, trying to keep her voice steady despite her racing heart. The woman looked up, surprise flickering across her features. "Yes," she replied cautiously, "I'm Angela Parker." She introduced herself with a warm smile. "I work here as a nurse." The woman nodded slowly but didn't say anything further. "I've seen your daughter around," Angela continued gently. "She has such a bright spirit, it really lights up this place." A hint of pride crossed Maya's mother's face despite her evident fatigue. "She tries," she said quietly. "It's not easy for us right now." Angela felt an ache in her heart at those words but pressed on gently. "If you ever need anything, resources or just someone to talk to, please don't hesitate to reach out." The woman studied Angela for a moment before nodding appreciatively. "Thank you," she said softly. "It means more than you know." Just then, Maya rushed back over, eyes sparkling with excitement as she tugged at her mother's sleeve. "Can we go get ice cream after this? Please." Her mother chuckled softly despite herself and nodded. "Okay, just for you." As they shared that moment, a simple exchange filled with love and hope, Angela felt something shift within her. She realized that while she couldn't solve all their problems or change their circumstances overnight, she could be an ally in their journey. With renewed determination coursing through her veins, Angela stepped back into the hallway as Maya and her mother prepared to leave for ice cream. She watched them disappear around the corner and felt an overwhelming sense of purpose ignite within her. Today had been just another day in the hospital for many, but for Angela Parker, it marked the beginning of something profound. The next day dawned with a sense of anticipation that Angela Parker couldn't quite shake. As she prepared for her shift at St. Mary's General Hospital, she found herself thinking about Maya Johnson and her mother more than usual. The brief encounter from the day before had stirred something deep within her, a desire to connect, to understand, and to help in whatever way she could. As Angela arrived at the hospital, the familiar sounds of bustling activity greeted her. Nurses exchanged quick words of encouragement, doctors hurried past with their heads buried in charts, and the scent of antiseptic hung in the air like a constant reminder of the lives being cared for within these walls. But today, her focus was different. Today, she was determined to learn more about Maya. During her morning rounds, Angela kept an eye out for the young girl. She moved through the pediatric ward with purpose, checking on patients and offering comfort where she could, but her thoughts kept drifting back to that bright smile and infectious laughter. What was it about Maya that captivated her so? It wasn't just the joy she brought, it was the resilience that seemed to radiate from her very being. After finishing her rounds, Angela decided to take a break in the staff lounge. As she sipped her coffee, she overheard a couple of nurses chatting nearby about a recent case involving a young girl who had been admitted for treatment. Her heart raced as she leaned in closer, hoping to catch a glimpse of information about Maya. "Did you hear about that little girl who comes in every day?" one nurse said. "Her mom is really struggling with her health." Angela's ears perked up at the mention of Maya. "What do you mean?" she asked, unable to contain her curiosity. "Oh, you know," the second nurse replied. "They're having a tough time financially. The mom has been in and out of treatment herself. It's heartbreaking." Angela felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she listened. It was one thing to see it from a distance, it was another to hear the reality of their situation laid bare. Maya's laughter suddenly felt like an act of defiance against the weight of their struggles, an innocent shield against the harshness of life. Determined to find out more, Angela decided to visit the pediatric ward again later that afternoon. As she walked through the hallways lined with colorful drawings made by young patients, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. She wanted to offer support, not just as a nurse but as someone who genuinely cared. When she arrived at the pediatric ward, Angela spotted Maya sitting in a corner with a few other children, engrossed in a game of cards. The sight warmed her heart. It was clear that Maya had become a beacon of joy for those around her. But as Angela approached, she noticed something else. The little girl's eyes seemed clouded with worry when she glanced at her mother across the room. Maya's mother sat on a chair near the window, looking pale and exhausted as she spoke softly with another nurse. The lines on her face told stories of sleepless nights and unending concern. Angela felt an overwhelming urge to reach out again. "Hey there." Angela called out gently as she knelt beside Maya. "What game are you playing?" Maya's face lit up with excitement as she turned toward Angela. "It's called Crazy Eights. Want to join us?" Angela smiled warmly at the invitation but shook her head gently. "I'd love to watch for now. You're really good at this." As they played together, Angela stole glances at Maya's mother from time to time. The woman seemed lost in conversation with the nurse but occasionally looked over at Maya with an expression filled with love and concern, a silent reminder of all that weighed on her shoulders. After several rounds of laughter and playful banter, Angela decided it was time to approach Maya's mother again. She stood up and walked over, taking a deep breath to steady herself before speaking. "Hi again," Angela said softly when she reached the woman's side. "I just wanted to check in on you both." Maya's mother looked up, surprise flickering across her features before softening into gratitude. "Thank you," she replied quietly. "It can be tough sometimes." "I can only imagine," Angela said gently, choosing her words carefully. "If there's anything I can do, resources or support, please let me know." The woman hesitated for a moment before nodding slowly. "It's just hard. We're managing as best we can, but it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle." Angela felt empathy wash over her like a tide pulling at her heartstrings. "You don't have to fight alone," she said firmly but kindly. "There are people here who care and want to help." Just then, Maya bounded over again, tugging at her mother's sleeve excitedly. "Mom! Can we go get ice cream now?" Her mother chuckled softly despite herself and nodded without hesitation this time. "Yes, let's go get some ice cream." Angela watched as they gathered their things and prepared to leave together. a small family clinging to moments of joy amid uncertainty and fear. As they stepped out into the hallway, Angela felt an overwhelming sense of resolve settle within her. She knew that understanding their story was just the beginning. Now it was time for action. With each passing moment spent observing Maya and her mother, Angela felt more compelled than ever to advocate for them and others like them who faced unseen battles every day. As they disappeared around the corner, Angela took a deep breath and returned to her duties with renewed determination in her heart. A commitment not only to care for patients but also to fight for justice within a system that often overlooked those who needed it most. The following day, Angela Parker arrived at St. Mary's General Hospital with a sense of urgency that propelled her through the familiar corridors. The laughter of children in the pediatric ward echoed in her mind, and the image of Maya Johnson's bright smile lingered like a beacon of hope. She had spent the night thinking about their brief conversations, about the struggles Maya and her mother faced, and how she could possibly make a difference. As she made her way to the nurse's station, Angela felt a mix of determination and trepidation. Today, she resolved to dig deeper into Maya's situation. She needed to understand the full scope of what they were dealing with, what resources were available, what barriers existed, and how she could help bridge that gap. After clocking in, Angela began her morning rounds, checking on patients and administering medication with her usual care. But her mind was elsewhere, focused on Maya and her mother. During a brief lull between patients, she approached Linda, a fellow nurse known for her extensive knowledge of hospital resources. "Hey, Linda," Angela started casually as they stood by the nurse's station. "Do you know anything about the support services we have for families dealing with long-term illnesses? I've been thinking about some of our pediatric patients." Linda raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What's got you interested in that?" Angela hesitated for a moment but decided to be honest. "There's this little girl named Maya who comes in every day. Her mom is really struggling with health issues, and I want to see if there's something we can do to help them." Linda's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "Oh, I know who you're talking about. They've been in and out quite a bit lately. The mom has been dealing with some serious health problems herself." Angela felt a knot tighten in her stomach at Linda's words. "Do you know what kind of support is available for them?" "There are some programs," Linda replied thoughtfully. "But it can be hard to navigate them, especially when you're dealing with so much stress already. You might want to talk to the social worker. She's great at connecting families with resources." Angela nodded, feeling a surge of hope mixed with anxiety. "Thanks, Linda. I think I will." After finishing her rounds, Angela sought out the social worker, Ms. Ramirez, whose office was tucked away in a quieter corner of the hospital. As she knocked lightly on the door and entered the small room filled with paperwork and colorful brochures, Ms. Ramirez looked up from her desk. "Angela. It's good to see you," she greeted warmly. "Hi, Ms. Ramirez," Angela replied, taking a seat across from her. "I wanted to ask about resources for families, specifically for those dealing with long-term health issues." Ms. Ramirez leaned back in her chair, nodding thoughtfully. "Of course. There are several programs available: financial assistance for medical bills, support groups for families, even counseling services for children who are coping with their parents' illnesses." Angela felt a wave of relief wash over her as she listened. "That's great to hear. What about Maya Johnson and her mother? Do you have any information on their case?" Ms. Ramirez's expression shifted slightly as she rifled through some files on her desk. "Yes, I've been working with them for a while now. The mother has been struggling both physically and financially since she got sick." She paused for a moment before continuing. "Maya is such a bright light in all this. It's heartbreaking to see them go through such tough times." Angela's heart sank at the thought of what they were enduring alone while trying to maintain that light-hearted spirit. "Is there anything specific we can do to help them?" Ms. Ramirez looked thoughtful as she considered Angela's question. "I can arrange for them to meet with a financial advisor who specializes in medical expenses. That might alleviate some stress for them." She paused again before adding softly, and I can also connect them with local charities that provide assistance for families like theirs. Thank you, Angela said earnestly, feeling gratitude swell within her chest. I really want to be involved in helping them. As they discussed further details about how to approach Maya's family without overwhelming them, Angela felt a sense of purpose solidify within her, a commitment not just to care for patients but also to advocate fiercely for those who often fell through the cracks. After their meeting concluded, Angela returned to the pediatric ward with renewed determination coursing through her veins. She knew that today would be different. Today would mark the beginning of her active involvement in Maya's life. When she arrived at the ward, she spotted Maya sitting on one of the beds coloring intently while her mother rested nearby in an armchair, looking weary but content as she watched her daughter play. "Hi there." Angela called out cheerfully as she approached. Maya looked up and grinned widely upon seeing Angela. "Hi. Look at my picture." She held up a colorful drawing depicting what appeared to be an ice cream cone surrounded by stars. "That's amazing." Angela exclaimed, genuinely impressed as she knelt beside Maya's bed. Maya beamed at the praise but then glanced over at her mother as if seeking approval. "Mom says I can be an artist when I grow up," Maya said proudly. "I believe it." Angela replied warmly before turning toward Maya's mother. "How are you doing today?" The woman smiled faintly but there was an underlying fatigue in her eyes that didn't go unnoticed by Angela. "I'm hanging in there," she replied softly. Angela took a deep breath before diving into what had been on her mind since their last encounter. "I spoke with Ms. Ramirez today about some resources that might help you both." Maya's eyes widened with interest while her mother looked cautiously intrigued. "What kind of resources?" Maya asked eagerly. "Things like financial assistance for medical bills and support groups where you can connect with other families going through similar challenges," Angela explained gently. Maya's mother listened intently as Angela continued detailing everything she had learned during their meeting. "That sounds helpful," she said slowly, glancing at Maya who was now bouncing excitedly on the bed. Angela felt hopeful as she watched their reactions unfold, a spark ignited by possibilities rather then despair. "I'd love to help you navigate this process if you're interested," Angela offered sincerely. Maya's mother met Angela's gaze with gratitude shining through her worry-laden expression. "Thank you so much, we could really use all the help we can get." As they talked further about next steps and how best to approach these resources without overwhelming themselves or each other, Angela felt an overwhelming sense of connection forming between them. A bond forged through shared struggles and newfound hope. In that moment, surrounded by laughter and warmth despite their circumstances, Angela knew this was only the beginning of something greater. A journey not just toward healing but toward building a community where no one had to face their battles alone. The following days at St. Mary's General Hospital unfolded with a sense of purpose that Angela Parker had never quite experienced before. Each morning, she arrived with renewed energy, eager to check in on Maya and her mother. The connection they had formed felt like a lifeline, not just for them but for herself as well. Angela found herself deeply invested in their story and the challenges they faced. During her shifts, she made it a point to seek out Maya and her mother whenever she could. Each encounter brought new insights into their lives. Maya's laughter brightened the dreary hospital walls, while her mother's quiet strength inspired Angela to push harder for the resources they desperately needed. Yet, despite the warmth of their interactions, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that there were still obstacles looming ahead. One afternoon, as Angela was preparing to leave for her break, she overheard a conversation between two doctors in the hallway. They were discussing a recent case involving a young girl who had been admitted with severe complications from a chronic illness. As she listened, Angela felt a chill run down her spine. The symptoms sounded all too familiar. They mirrored what Maya's mother had described during their conversations about her own health struggles. With a sense of urgency, Angela approached Dr. Smith, one of the physicians who had been involved in the case. "Excuse me, Dr. Smith," she said, trying to keep her voice steady despite the rising anxiety in her chest. "I couldn't help but overhear your discussion about the young girl with chronic illness. Is there any chance you're referring to Maya's mother?" Dr. Smith looked at her thoughtfully before nodding slowly. "Yes, unfortunately, we've been monitoring her condition closely. It's complicated, she's dealing with multiple health issues that are exacerbated by stress and financial strain. Angela's heart sank at his words. She had sensed that Maya's mother was struggling, but hearing it confirmed made it all the more real. "Is there anything we can do to help them?" she asked urgently. Doctor Smith sighed heavily, rubbing his temples as if the weight of the situation pressed down on him too. "We're doing everything we can medically, but the reality is that without addressing their financial situation and providing emotional support, it's going to be an uphill battle." Angela felt a surge of determination rise within her. "What if I could help connect them with resources? I've already spoken to Ms. Ramirez about financial assistance programs." Dr. Smith looked at her with a mixture of hope and skepticism. "That would be a start, but you need to understand how complex this situation is. It's not just about money, it's about emotional support and stability as well." "I know," Angela replied earnestly. "But I believe we can make a difference if we work together." Dr. Smith nodded slowly, his expression softening as he recognized Angela's commitment. "All right then," he said finally. "If you can coordinate with Ms. Ramirez and keep me updated on their progress, I'll do my best to ensure they receive the care they need." Feeling invigorated by Dr. Smith's willingness to collaborate, Angela returned to her duties with a renewed sense of purpose. She sought out Ms. Ramirez again and shared everything she had learned from Dr. Smith about Maya's mother's condition. "Thank you for keeping me in the loop," Ms. Ramirez said as they sat down together in her office once more. "It sounds like we need to act quickly to provide both medical and emotional support for them." Angela nodded vigorously, eager to brainstorm solutions together. They discussed setting up regular counseling sessions for Maya's mother and connecting her with local support groups where she could share experiences with others facing similar challenges. As they finalized their plans, Angela felt a sense of urgency propel her forward, a desire not just to help Maya and her mother but also to advocate for systemic changes within the hospital that would better support families like theirs. Later that week, when Angela walked into the pediatric ward and spotted Maya coloring at one of the tables, she felt an overwhelming wave of affection wash over her. The little girl looked up and grinned widely upon seeing Angela approach. "Hi. Look what I made." Maya exclaimed excitedly as she held up a vibrant drawing of a rainbow stretching across a blue sky. "That's beautiful." Angela praised genuinely as she knelt beside Maya's table. "Do you think my mom will like it?" Maya asked earnestly. "Of course. She'll love it," Angela assured her while feeling a pang of sadness at the thought of what lay ahead for them both. Just then, Maya's mother entered the room looking slightly more energized than usual, a small victory in itself that lifted Angela's spirits momentarily. "Hi there," she greeted warmly as she approached them. "Maya was just showing me her amazing drawing," Angela said with a smile. "Oh wow. That's wonderful." Her mother beamed at Maya before turning back to Angela with gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you for always being so kind to us." Angela felt warmth spread through her chest at those words. It was moments like these that fueled her commitment even more deeply. "I'm here for you both," she replied sincerely before shifting gears slightly as she broached the topic that weighed heavily on her mind. "I wanted to talk about some resources that could really help your family." Maya's mother looked intrigued yet cautious as she listened intently. "I've been working with Ms. Ramirez on setting up some support services, financial assistance programs and counseling sessions," Angela explained carefully. Maya's eyes lit up at the mention of support services while her mother remained pensive but hopeful. "That sounds helpful," she said slowly, contemplating each word before speaking again. "But will it be enough?" Angela met her gaze directly, feeling an overwhelming sense of responsibility wash over her at that moment, the weight of their struggles resting heavily on her shoulders yet igniting an unyielding fire within. "I believe it can be," she replied firmly but gently. "And I'll do everything I can to make sure you both get what you need." As they continued discussing next steps together, planning appointments and discussing how best to navigate these resources, Angela felt an unbreakable bond forming between them all. A shared commitment not just to survive but to thrive amid adversity. In that moment filled with laughter and determination, surrounded by crayons and colorful drawings depicting dreams yet unrealized, Angela knew they were embarking on something greater than mere survival. They were stepping into a journey toward Healing, a journey where hope would shine brightly against even the darkest shadows. The days turned into weeks, and Angela Parker found herself increasingly immersed in the lives of Maya Johnson and her mother. Each visit to the pediatric ward became a cherished routine, filled with laughter, art projects, and heartfelt conversations. Angela had become not just a nurse but a confidant and ally, someone who genuinely cared about their well-being. Yet, beneath the surface of their growing friendship lay an undercurrent of tension that Angela could sense but could not fully articulate. As they began to navigate the resources Angela had helped connect them with, it became clear that the challenges facing Maya's family were more complex than she had initially understood. While financial assistance programs provided some relief, the emotional toll of their circumstances weighed heavily on both Maya and her mother. Angela noticed the subtle shifts in their interactions, the way Maya would sometimes retreat into silence when her mother seemed overwhelmed, or how her mother's smile would falter when she thought no one was watching. One afternoon, as Angela entered the pediatric ward, she found Maya sitting alone at a table, her crayons scattered around her like fallen leaves. The vibrant colors seemed to clash with the somber atmosphere that had settled over her little corner of the world. Angela approached cautiously, sensing that something was off. "Hey there, superstar," Angela said gently as she knelt beside Maya. "What are you working on today?" Maya looked up, her eyes bright but tinged with a hint of sadness. "I'm drawing a picture for my mom," she replied quietly. "That's so sweet. What's it going to be?" Angela asked, trying to coax out more of Maya's thoughts. "It's a picture of us at the park," Maya said softly. "But I don't think we can go there anymore." Angela felt a pang in her heart at those words. "Why not?" she asked gently. "Because Mom is always tired," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "And sometimes she cries when she thinks I'm not looking." The weight of Maya's words hung heavy in the air between them. Angela swallowed hard, feeling a mix of empathy and frustration at the situation they were all facing. "Maya," she said softly, "it's okay to feel sad sometimes. It doesn't mean you're not strong." Maya nodded but didn't respond. Instead, she picked up a blue crayon and began coloring a large tree in her drawing, a tree that seemed to symbolize strength and stability amid uncertainty. Angela watched in silence for a moment before speaking again. "You know what? I think your mom would love to see that picture when it's done. You're such a talented artist." Maya smiled faintly at the compliment but still seemed lost in thought. "Do you think she'll be happy?" "I know she will," Angela assured her gently. "You bring so much joy into her life." Just then, Maya's mother entered the room, looking weary but determined as she approached them with a soft smile. "Hey there. What are you two up to?" "Maya is working on a beautiful picture for you," Angela said brightly, hoping to lift the mood. "Oh really? I can't wait to see it." Her mother knelt beside them and placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. As they chatted about the drawing, Angela couldn't help but notice the subtle tension in Maya's mother's demeanor, the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes and how fatigue lingered around her like an unwelcome shadow. After some time spent together, Angela decided to broach the topic that had been weighing heavily on her mind since their last conversation about resources and support services. "Can we talk for a minute?" Angela asked gently as she pulled Maya's mother aside while Maya continued coloring. "Of course," she replied, glancing back at Maya before stepping away with Angela. "I wanted to check in on how everything has been going with the resources we discussed," Angela began carefully. "I know it can be overwhelming." Maya's mother sighed deeply, running a hand through her hair as if trying to gather her thoughts. "It is overwhelming," she admitted quietly. "I appreciate everything you've done for us, truly. But sometimes it feels like we're just treading water." Angela nodded empathetically. She understood how difficult it could be to navigate such complex emotions while dealing with practical challenges like medical bills and treatment schedules. "I get that," she said softly. "It's okay to feel that way. I just wish things were different," Maya's mother confessed, tears glistening in her eyes. "I want to be there for Maya, to take her out and show her all the things kids should experience, but I feel so trapped by my illness."
Angela felt a surge of compassion for this woman who was clearly fighting an uphill battle against circumstances beyond her control. "You're doing an incredible job just by being here for her," Angela reassured her gently. "And it's okay to ask for help when you need it." Maya's mother wiped away a tear and nodded slowly as if considering Angela's words carefully. "I know I need help, I just don't know where to start." "Let's figure it out together," Angela suggested earnestly. "We can set up regular check-ins with Ms. Ramirez so you have someone guiding you through this process." As they spoke further about practical steps they could take moving forward, setting up counseling sessions and support groups, Angela felt hopeful that they could begin to create a more stable environment for both Maya and her mother. When they returned to join Maya at the table once more, Angela noticed how much lighter their conversation felt. The air filled with laughter as they discussed everything from favorite ice cream flavors to dream vacations. As they wrapped up their visit that day, Angela felt grateful for the bond they were forming, a connection rooted in shared struggles and resilience against adversity. But deep down inside, she knew this was only part of their journey. There were still battles ahead that would require strength from all sides, strength that came not just from within but from community support and understanding. As she left St. Mary's General Hospital that evening, Angela felt invigorated by their conversations, a renewed commitment blossoming within her heart as she resolved to fight alongside them against whatever challenges lay ahead. As the weeks rolled on, Angela Parker found herself increasingly entrenched in the lives of Maya Johnson and her mother. Each visit to the pediatric ward felt like stepping into a world where laughter mingled with tears, where hope battled against despair. Angela had become a constant presence in their lives, and with each interaction, she felt their struggles seep deeper into her heart. One afternoon, Angela entered the pediatric ward, her mind buzzing with thoughts about the resources they had been exploring together. She had arranged for Maya's mother to meet with a financial advisor and had set up counseling sessions through Ms. Ramirez. But as she walked through the familiar halls, she sensed a change in the atmosphere, a heaviness that seemed to settle over the ward like a thick fog. When she reached Maya's usual spot at the coloring table, she found it empty. A pang of concern shot through her as she scanned the room. Maya's mother sat in a chair nearby, her face drawn and tired, staring blankly at the floor. Angela approached cautiously, her heart racing. "Hi there," Angela said softly, trying to gauge the mood. "Where's Maya?" Maya's mother looked up, her expression a mix of worry and exhaustion. "She's in the exam room," she replied quietly. "They're running some tests." Angela felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "Tests? Is everything okay?" "I don't know," Maya's mother admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "She woke up this morning complaining of stomach pain, and I thought it was just something she ate, but it hasn't gone away." Angela nodded slowly, trying to suppress her own anxiety. "I'm sure they'll figure it out," she said reassuringly. "Kids get stomachaches all the time." But as they waited together in silence, Angela couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a simple ailment. The weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air between them. After what felt like an eternity, a nurse emerged from the exam room and approached them with a serious expression. "Maya's ready for you," she said gently. Angela's heart raced as they followed the nurse into the room. There lay Maya on the examination table, looking small and vulnerable beneath the bright lights. Her eyes were wide with fear as she caught sight of her mother. "Mom!" Maya called out, reaching for her hand.
"Sweetheart, I'm here," her mother said quickly, rushing to her side and taking Maya's small hand in hers. Angela stepped closer, trying to project calmness even as concern gnawed at her insides. "Hey there, Maya. How are you feeling?" "I don't like this place," Maya said softly, tears welling in her eyes. "It hurts." Angela knelt beside her and squeezed her shoulder gently. "I know it's scary right now, but you're so brave. The doctors are going to help you feel better." The doctor entered shortly after, clipboard in hand and a look of determination on his face. "Hello there. I'm Dr. Patel," he introduced himself with a warm smile that seemed to ease some of the tension in the room. "Maya has been experiencing stomach pain?" he asked as he began examining her gently. "Yes," Maya's mother replied anxiously. It started this morning and hasn't gone away. Dr. Patel nodded thoughtfully as he continued his examination while asking questions about Maya's symptoms and medical history. Angela watched closely, feeling a mix of hope and dread as they navigated this new territory together, after what felt like an eternity of poking and prodding, and with Maya clutching her mother's hand tightly. The doctor finally stepped back to gather his thoughts. I believe we need to run some tests to rule out any serious issues, Dr. Patel explained carefully. It could be something simple like a virus or food-related, but we want to be thorough. Maya's mother nodded slowly but looked visibly shaken by the prospect of further testing. Is there anything we can do? Angela asked earnestly, wanting to offer support amid their uncertainty. Dr. Patel glanced at Angela before responding. Just be there for her, that will help more than you know. As they prepared for tests, blood work and possibly imaging, Angela stayed close by Maya's side, offering words of encouragement while keeping an eye on her mother who seemed increasingly overwhelmed by worry. Maya, Angela said softly as they waited for the nurse to return with supplies, you're going to be okay. You're one of the strongest kids I know. Maya managed a weak smile but then turned serious again. What if something is really wrong? Angela felt her heart ache at that question. It was one that no child should have to ask. We'll face it together, she promised firmly. Eventually, after what felt like hours filled with anxious waiting and whispered reassurances from both Angela and her mother, they began the testing process, each step taken with trepidation but also with an unyielding bond forming between them all. Once everything was done and they were alone again in the room waiting for results, Angela took a deep breath before turning back toward them both. Do you want me to stay? She asked gently. Maya looked up at her mother first before nodding slightly. Yes, please. As they settled into an uneasy silence together, Maya resting against her mother while Angela held vigil nearby, Angela couldn't help but reflect on how quickly things had changed for them all. Just yesterday they had been discussing art projects and ice cream outings. Now they were grappling with uncertainty about health and well-being, a stark reminder of how fragile life could be. But even amid fear and doubt, Angela felt an unwavering determination rise within her, a commitment not just to care for them physically but also emotionally, to be their advocate during this turbulent time when clarity was hard to come by. When Dr. Patel finally returned with results in hand, Angela held her breath along with Maya and her mother as they braced themselves for whatever news lay ahead, a moment that would define their journey moving forward. And no matter what happened next, whether good or bad, Angela knew one thing for certain: they would face it together as a family forged not by blood but by shared struggles and unwavering support. The atmosphere in the hospital room was thick with anticipation as Dr. Patel entered, his expression serious yet calm. Angela Parker sat beside Maya and her mother, holding their hands tightly as they awaited the news that would shape their next steps. The weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air, and Angela could feel the tension radiating from both Maya and her mother. Maya, I have the results of your tests, Dr. Patel began, his voice steady. I want you to know that we're here to support you every step of the way. Maya's mother squeezed her daughter's hand, her eyes wide with concern. What did they show? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Patel took a moment to gather his thoughts before continuing. The good news is that we didn't find any serious underlying conditions. However, it appears that Maya has a viral infection that is causing her stomach pain. Relief washed over Angela like a wave, but she could see that Maya's mother still wore a look of worry. What does that mean for her? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. It means that with proper care and rest, she should start feeling better soon, Dr. Patel explained. We'll provide medication to help manage her symptoms, and I recommend plenty of fluids and rest at home. Maya looked up at her mother, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. Does that mean I can go home soon? She asked, her voice small. Dr. Patel smiled reassuringly. Yes, as long as everything continues to improve, you should be able to go home later today or tomorrow. Tears filled Maya's mother's eyes as she hugged her daughter tightly. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so glad to hear that," she said, her voice breaking with emotion. Angela felt a swell of happiness in her chest as she watched their reunion. This moment of relief was hard-won and deeply cherished. "You're going to be okay, Maya," Angela said softly, brushing a lock of hair away from the girl's forehead. "You're so strong." As they discussed the next steps for treatment and recovery, Angela couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come together since she first met Maya and her mother. What had started as simple visits filled with laughter had transformed into a journey marked by vulnerability and resilience. After Dr. Patel left the room to arrange for Maya's discharge paperwork, Angela turned to Maya's mother. "How are you holding up?" she asked gently. "I'm just so relieved," she replied, wiping away tears of joy. "I was so scared it would be something worse." Angela nodded in understanding. The fear of the unknown was often more daunting than the reality itself. "You've been incredibly strong throughout this whole process," she said sincerely. Maya chimed in with a bright smile, "and you helped me stay brave." Angela felt warmth spread through her heart at Maya's words. "You've shown so much bravery yourself," she replied with a smile. As they waited for the discharge paperwork to arrive, Angela took the opportunity to discuss some practical steps for managing Maya's recovery at home, dietary recommendations, and when to seek further medical attention if needed. Maya listened intently while her mother took notes, clearly grateful for Angela's guidance during this challenging time. It was moments like these that reminded Angela why she had chosen nursing as a career, to provide not just medical care but also emotional support and advocacy for families facing difficult circumstances. Finally, after what felt like an eternity filled with laughter and light-hearted conversations about ice cream flavors and upcoming art projects, Dr. Patel returned with the discharge papers in hand. "All right, Maya. You're officially free to go home," he announced with a grin. Maya jumped up from her seat excitedly and hugged Dr. Patel tightly before turning to her mother with wide eyes filled with joy. "Can we go get ice cream now?" Her mother laughed through tears of relief and nodded vigorously. "Yes. We can definitely celebrate your recovery." As they prepared to leave the hospital room together, Maya bouncing on her toes while clutching her drawing tightly, Angela felt a bittersweet pang in her heart. She had grown so attached to them both. Their journey had become intertwined with hers in ways she hadn't anticipated. "Thank you for everything," Maya's mother said sincerely as they reached the door. "I don't know how we would have gotten through this without you." Angela smiled warmly back at them both. "You don't have to thank me, I'm just glad I could help." As they stepped out into the bustling hallway together, a small family united against adversity, Angela felt an overwhelming sense of pride swell within her chest. They had faced challenges head-on and emerged stronger for it, but even as they walked away from the pediatric ward toward brighter days ahead filled with ice cream and laughter, Angela couldn't shake off the feeling that their journey was far from over. There were still battles to fight, not just for Maya and her mother but for countless others who faced similar struggles within the healthcare system, a system that often overlooked those who needed support most. With renewed determination coursing through her veins, Angela vowed silently to continue advocating for change within the hospital, to ensure that families like Maya's received not only medical care but also compassion and understanding during their most vulnerable moments. As she watched them disappear down the corridor toward freedom and hope, Angela knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning of a much larger fight. A fight for justice in healthcare that would require every ounce of strength. The days following Maya's discharge from the hospital were filled with a renewed sense of hope and determination for Angela Parker. She had watched as Maya's laughter returned, brightening the world around her like a ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. Yet, even amidst the joy of recovery, Angela felt a lingering sense of urgency. The challenges faced by Maya and her mother were far from over, and she knew that their journey was just beginning. As she settled into her routine at St. Mary's General Hospital, Angela made it a point to check in on Maya regularly. Each visit brought new stories and laughter, but Angela also noticed the subtle signs of stress that still loomed over Maya's mother. The financial burden of medical bills weighed heavily on her, and though she tried to maintain a brave face for Maya, Angela could see the toll it was taking. One afternoon, after finishing her rounds, Angela decided to seek out Ms. Ramirez again. She needed to discuss how they could further support Maya's family, not just with immediate resources but also with long-term solutions that could help alleviate their burdens. When she found Ms. Ramirez in her office, surrounded by stacks of paperwork and colorful pamphlets about community resources, Angela took a deep breath before speaking. "I wanted to talk about Maya and her mother," she began. "I know they're still facing significant challenges." Ms. Ramirez looked up, her expression attentive. "Yes, I've been following their case closely. I'm glad you brought this up. I think we need to do more than just provide immediate assistance," Angela continued earnestly. "They need ongoing support, help with managing medical bills, emotional counseling, and maybe even connecting them with community programs that can provide stability." Ms. Ramirez nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. It's essential that we look at the bigger picture for them." She paused for a moment before adding, "I can reach out to some local organizations that specialize in financial aid for families dealing with chronic illnesses." Angela felt a surge of hope at Ms. Ramirez's words. "That would be amazing. If we can get them connected with those resources, it might make all the difference." As they brainstormed potential solutions together, discussing everything from food assistance programs to mental health resources, Angela felt invigorated by the possibilities ahead. They were creating a plan that could genuinely impact Maya's family and others like them. After their meeting, Angela returned to the pediatric ward with a renewed sense of purpose. She sought out Maya and her mother, eager to share the news about the additional support they could access. When she found them in their usual spot, Maya drawing colorful pictures while her mother read nearby, Angela felt a wave of warmth wash over her as she approached. "Hey there. How are you both doing today?" she greeted brightly. Maya looked up with an excited grin, waving her crayon in the air. "Look at my new picture. It's us at the beach. That's beautiful," Angela exclaimed as she leaned closer to admire the vibrant colors and imaginative details. Maya's mother smiled softly at Angela's enthusiasm but then glanced down at her own hands, which fidgeted nervously in her lap. "I wanted to talk to you both about something important," Angela said gently, sensing the underlying tension in the room. "I've been speaking with Ms. Ramirez about additional resources that can help your family." Maya's eyes lit up with curiosity while her mother looked cautiously intrigued. "What kind of resources?" she asked. "Things like financial assistance for medical bills and programs that can provide emotional support," Angela explained carefully. "We want to ensure you have everything you need moving forward." Maya's mother took a deep breath as she processed this information. "That sounds helpful," she said slowly but with an edge of uncertainty in her voice. "It is," Angela assured her gently. "And I'll be here every step of the way to help you navigate it all." As they discussed next steps, how to apply for assistance and what services would be available, Angela felt a sense of camaraderie growing between them all. They were united not just by their struggles but by a shared commitment to finding solutions together. But even as they made plans for the future, Angela couldn't shake off the feeling that there was still much work to be done beyond just helping one family. The systemic issues within healthcare loomed large. They were part of a larger narrative that affected countless others who faced similar battles without adequate support. That evening, after leaving Maya and her mother with plans for their next steps, Angela found herself reflecting on everything she had learned throughout this journey, the resilience of families like Maya's and the importance of advocacy within healthcare systems. She knew that change wouldn't happen overnight. It would require persistence and dedication from everyone involved, nurses, doctors, social workers, and community members alike. With renewed determination coursing through her veins, Angela began formulating ideas for how she could advocate for broader changes within St. Mary's General Hospital, a campaign focused on raising awareness about healthcare disparities faced by marginalized families and working toward creating more comprehensive support systems. As she mapped out her thoughts on paper that night, ideas swirling around in her mind like vibrant colors on a canvas, Angela felt empowered by the knowledge that she wasn't just fighting for one family, she was fighting for many who had yet to find their voice. Tomorrow would mark another day filled with challenges and triumphs alike. A chance to continue advocating not only for Maya but for all those who needed someone willing to stand up and fight alongside them against an often indifferent system, with hope ignited within her heart and purpose guiding Her actions forward, Angela Parker knew this was only the beginning of something much larger, a movement toward justice in healthcare where every voice mattered and every struggle was met with compassion and understanding. The morning sun filtered through the windows of St. Mary's General Hospital, casting a warm glow over the pediatric ward. Angela Parker arrived early, her heart racing with anticipation. Today was significant. It marked the beginning of a new initiative she had been tirelessly working on, a community health fair aimed at raising awareness about healthcare disparities and connecting families like Maya's with vital resources. As she walked through the familiar corridors, Angela felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. She had gathered a team of nurses, social workers, and local organizations to participate in the event, all committed to providing support and information to families in need. The goal was not just to inform but to empower, helping families navigate the complexities of healthcare while fostering a sense of community. When Angela reached the pediatric ward, she found Maya and her mother already there, waiting for her. Maya was coloring enthusiastically at a table while her mother chatted with one of the nurses. The sight warmed Angela's heart. It was a reminder of how far they had come together. "Good morning." Angela greeted them with a bright smile as she approached. "Are you ready for today?" Maya looked up, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What are we doing?" she asked eagerly. "We're having a health fair." Angela explained, kneeling beside her. "There will be games, activities, and lots of information about how to stay healthy and get help when you need it." Maya's mother smiled but looked slightly apprehensive. "Will it really help us?" she asked gently. "Absolutely," Angela replied earnestly. "This is all about making sure families like yours have access to everything they need, whether it's financial assistance, counseling services, or just someone to talk to." As they talked about the fair, Angela felt a surge of hope. This was more than just an event, it was an opportunity to create lasting change and build connections within the community. She wanted every family to feel supported and empowered, especially those who often fell through the cracks. Once they finished their conversation, Angela took Maya's hand and led her toward the main hall where preparations were underway. Colorful banners hung from the ceiling, tables were set up with brochures and resources, and volunteers were bustling around with enthusiasm. "Wow!" Maya exclaimed as they entered the hall, her eyes wide with wonder at the vibrant atmosphere. Angela smiled at her excitement, feeling her own enthusiasm grow as well. "Let's check out what's happening." They wandered from table to table, where various organizations were sharing information about health services available in the community. There were booths for mental health support, nutrition education, and even activities for kids that focused on healthy habits. As they explored together, Angela noticed how engaged Maya was, her laughter ringing out as she participated in games designed to teach children about nutrition and exercise. It was a beautiful sight. This little girl who had faced so much adversity was now thriving in an environment filled with support and positivity. After an hour of fun and learning, Angela gathered everyone together for a brief presentation. She stood at the front of the room, looking out at the families who had come together that day, some familiar faces from the pediatric ward and others she had yet to meet. "Thank you all for being here today," Angela began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This health fair is not just about information. It's about building a community where we can support one another through our struggles." She shared stories of resilience, of families like Maya's who had faced challenges yet continued to fight for their health and well-being. As she spoke passionately about the importance of advocacy in healthcare, she felt a sense of unity growing among those present. "We all deserve access to quality healthcare," Angela continued. "And together, we can make our voices heard." The room filled with applause as families cheered in support. Angela felt tears prick at her eyes. This moment was everything she had hoped for, a collective acknowledgement that change was possible. Afterward, as families mingled and gathered information from various booths, Angela took a moment to step outside for some fresh air. She leaned against a wall in quiet reflection, feeling grateful for all that had transpired since she first met Maya and her mother. Suddenly, she heard footsteps approaching and turned to see Maya running toward her with an enormous smile plastered across her face. "Angela! Look what I made," she exclaimed excitedly, holding up a colorful paper plate decorated with fruits and vegetables. "That's amazing." Angela said, genuinely impressed as she knelt down to admire Maya's creation. "I learned that eating healthy makes me strong." Maya declared proudly. Angela felt a swell of pride as she looked into Maya's bright eyes. This child who had faced uncertainty now radiated confidence and joy. It was moments like these that reminded Angela why she fought so hard for change within the system. Later that afternoon, after the fair wound down and families began to leave with bags full of resources and information, Angela gathered her team together for a debriefing session. They discussed what went well and what could be improved for future events. Ideas flowed freely as everyone shared their thoughts on how they could continue building this momentum within the community. As they wrapped up their meeting, Angela felt invigorated by their collective commitment to making a difference. A shared vision that extended beyond just one day or one family but encompassed an entire community striving for better health outcomes. That evening, as she left St. Mary's General Hospital behind her, a place that had become not just her workplace but also a second home, Angela felt hopeful about what lay ahead. The journey toward systemic change would be long and challenging. There would be obstacles along the way, but together they could face anything. With determination fueling her spirit and love guiding her actions forward, Angela knew this was only the beginning. A commitment not just to advocate for one family but for all those whose voices needed amplification in their fight for justice within healthcare. Answer. As the weeks turned into months, the community health fair became a cornerstone of Angela Parker's efforts to advocate for families like Maya's. The event had sparked a movement within St. Mary's General Hospital and the surrounding community, bringing together healthcare providers, social workers, and families in a shared mission to address healthcare disparities. Angela felt a renewed sense of purpose as she continued to build upon the connections formed during that initial event. Maya and her mother had become regular visitors at the hospital, not just for checkups but also for the ongoing support services Angela had helped connect them with. Each time Angela saw them, she was reminded of the resilience they embodied. Maya had blossomed into a confident little girl who eagerly participated in activities designed to promote health and wellness, while her mother was gradually learning to navigate the complexities of their situation with newfound strength. One sunny afternoon, Angela found herself sitting in the hospital's community room with Maya and her mother, discussing plans for the next health fair. They were brainstorming ideas for activities that would engage children and their families while providing valuable information about health resources. "What if we have a cooking demonstration?" Maya suggested enthusiastically, her eyes shining with excitement. "We could show everyone how to make healthy snacks." "That's a fantastic idea," Angela replied, beaming at Maya's creativity. "We can even have samples for everyone to try." Maya's mother smiled proudly at her daughter. "I love that idea too. It would be fun for all the kids." As they continued to plan, Angela felt a sense of fulfillment wash over her. This was more than just an event. It was an opportunity to empower families with knowledge and skills that could change their lives. She could see how far Maya and her mother had come since their first encounters in the pediatric ward, and it filled her with hope for their future. Later that week, Angela met with Ms. Ramirez and other community partners to finalize details for the upcoming health fair. They discussed logistics, everything from securing vendors for healthy food options to organizing workshops on mental health awareness and financial literacy. "I think we should also include a panel discussion," Ms. Ramirez suggested. "We can invite local leaders to talk about healthcare access and how families can advocate for themselves." Angela nodded enthusiastically. "That would be incredibly valuable. It's important for families to understand their rights and how to seek help when they need it." As they wrapped up their meeting, Angela felt energized by the possibilities ahead. The next health fair promised to be even more impactful than the last, and she was determined to make it a success. In the weeks leading up to the event, Angela worked tirelessly alongside her colleagues and community partners. They distributed flyers, reached out to local media for coverage, and engaged with families through social media platforms to spread the word about the fair. On the day of the event, excitement buzzed through the air as families began to arrive at St. Mary's General Hospital. Colorful banners adorned the entrance, welcoming everyone into a space filled with laughter, learning, and connection. Angela stood at the entrance greeting attendees as they arrived, her heart swelling with pride as she watched families gather together. She spotted Maya and her mother among the crowd, both wearing bright smiles as they waved enthusiastically. "Are you ready for another amazing day?" Angela called out as they approached. "Absolutely," Maya exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. "I can't wait to show everyone how to make my favorite healthy snack." As they moved through the various booths, where local organizations provided information on nutrition, mental health resources, and exercise programs, Angela felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her. This was what she had envisioned, a community coming together to support one another in their journey toward better health. The cooking demonstration was a hit. Families gathered around as Maya led the way in preparing delicious fruit skewers and yogurt parfaits. Her enthusiasm was infectious as she explained each step while encouraging other children to join in. Later in the day, as Angela moderated the panel discussion on healthcare access, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for everyone who had come together to make this event possible. Local leaders shared insights on advocacy and resources available within the community while emphasizing the importance of collective action. Together, one panelist said passionately, "We can create a healthcare system that serves everyone, especially those who have been marginalized or overlooked." The audience erupted in applause, a powerful reminder that change was possible when communities united around a common goal. As the day drew to a close and families began to disperse with bags full of information and smiles on their faces, Angela took a moment to reflect on everything that had transpired since she first met Maya and her mother. Their journey had not been easy, there had been struggles along the way, but together they had forged connections that would last well beyond this day. Maya ran up to Angela with her mother close behind, holding up a colorful drawing she had made during one of the activities. "Look what I created," she exclaimed proudly. "That's beautiful," Angela said, genuinely impressed as she knelt down beside Maya once more. "Thank you for helping us," Maya's mother said softly, tears glistening in her eyes. "You've changed our lives." Angela felt overwhelmed by emotion at those words. This was why she fought so hard, to empower families like theirs and ensure they received not only medical care but also compassion and understanding during their most vulnerable moments. As they embraced under the warm glow of fading sunlight streaming through hospital windows, three hearts intertwined by shared struggles and victories, Angela knew that this was only just beginning. There would always be more work ahead. There were countless families still waiting for someone to advocate for them, to help them find their voice amid an often indifferent system. But today was proof that change could happen, one family at a time, and together they would continue fighting for justice in healthcare until every voice mattered equally. With hope ignited within her heart and purpose guiding every action forward, Angela Parker felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, a commitment not just to advocate but also inspire others along this journey toward healing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over St. Mary's General Hospital, Angela Parker sat at her desk, reflecting on the whirlwind of events that had unfolded over the past few months. The recent health fair had been a resounding success, and she felt a deep sense of fulfillment in knowing that they had made a tangible impact on the lives of families in their community. But beyond the event itself, Angela was acutely aware that their journey was far from over. Maya and her mother had become integral parts of Angela's life. Their resilience and courage in the face of adversity inspired her daily. She often thought about how far they had come since their first meeting, the laughter, the tears, and the unbreakable bond they had formed. Yet, she also recognized that there were still many families out there who faced similar struggles without the same support. With this thought in mind, Angela decided it was time to take her advocacy efforts to the next level. She began drafting a proposal for a new initiative aimed at creating a permanent support network for families dealing with chronic illnesses and healthcare disparities. This network would not only provide resources but also foster community connections where families could share their experiences and support one another. As she worked late into the evening, Angela felt a surge of motivation coursing through her veins. She envisioned workshops on navigating healthcare systems, support groups for emotional well-being, and educational sessions that would empower families with knowledge about their rights and available resources. The following week, Angela presented her proposal to hospital administration. She stood before a panel of decision-makers, her heart pounding but her resolve unwavering. This initiative is not just about providing resources, It's about building a community where families can feel supported and empowered, she said passionately. As she outlined her vision, she could see nods of agreement among some members of the panel. Others appeared skeptical, but Angela pressed on, sharing stories of families like Maya's, families who had faced challenges but had found strength through connection and support. When she finished her presentation, there was a moment of silence as the panel members exchanged glances. Finally, Dr. Smith spoke up. "Angela, your passion for this cause is evident. I believe we have an opportunity here to make a real difference." With that endorsement, the discussion shifted toward logistics and funding sources. Angela felt a wave of relief wash over her. This was the validation she needed to know that her efforts were being recognized. Over the next few months, Angela worked tirelessly to bring her vision to life. She collaborated with social workers, community leaders, and healthcare providers to establish the support network. They organized workshops and informational sessions that filled the hospital's community room with families eager to learn and connect. Maya and her mother became regular participants in these sessions. Maya thrived in this environment. She loved sharing her artwork with others and encouraging younger children to express themselves creatively. Her mother found solace in connecting with other parents who understood their struggles, a newfound sense of camaraderie that eased some of her burdens. One afternoon during a workshop on financial literacy, Maya's mother approached Angela with tears in her eyes. "I can't thank you enough for everything you've done," she said softly. "This community has changed our lives." Angela felt warmth spread through her heart at those words. It was moments like these that reaffirmed why she fought so hard for change within the system. "You've shown incredible strength," Angela replied sincerely. "I'm just here to help amplify your voices." As time went on, the support network continued to grow stronger. Families began sharing their stories openly, stories filled with hope, resilience, and determination to overcome obstacles together. The sense of community blossomed into something beautiful. It was no longer just about individual struggles but about collective empowerment. One evening after another successful workshop, Angela found herself sitting with Maya and her mother at a nearby cafe, a place they had come to cherish as their own little sanctuary amid life's challenges. "Can I show you something?" Maya asked excitedly as she pulled out a small sketchbook from her bag. "Of course." Angela replied with enthusiasm. Maya flipped open the sketchbook to reveal colorful drawings depicting scenes from their workshops, families laughing together, children playing games, and even a picture of Angela leading one of the sessions. "This is amazing!" Angela exclaimed as she admired Maya's artwork. "You've captured all the joy we've created together." Maya beamed with pride as she explained each drawing in detail. "I want everyone to see how much fun we have when we help each other." Angela felt tears prick at her eyes. This was what it was all about, transforming pain into purpose and creating spaces where hope could flourish. As they sat together sharing stories over coffee and sketches filled with vibrant colors reflecting their journey thus far, Angela knew deep down that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would undoubtedly hold challenges. There would be more battles to fight against systemic inequities within healthcare, but together they would face them head-on. As a united front with renewed determination ignited within her heart and purpose guiding every action forward, Angela Parker felt ready for whatever lay ahead, a commitment not just to advocate for one family but for every family whose voice needed amplification in their fight for justice within healthcare. And as she looked at Maya's radiant smile, bright like sunshine breaking through clouds, Angela knew that change was not only possible, it was already happening right before their eyes. The safe house was quiet, the only sound the soft hum of the heater and the occasional rustle of blankets as Lily shifted in her sleep. Daniel sat beside her, his chair pulled close to the bed, his hand resting gently on hers. She had been through so much, endured so much, and now, finally, she was safe, but the man in the dark coat was still out there. Daniel's mind raced as he thought about the church, about the symbol, about Emily's warning. The man, the keeper, wasn't just a kidnapper. He was something more, something darker. And if Daniel was going to stop him, he needed to understand what he was up against. He stood, careful not to wake Lily, and stepped out into the hallway. The safe house was small, its walls lined with faded wallpaper and its floors creaking underfoot. He moved quietly, his footsteps echoing in the empty space. As he reached the living room, he saw Emily sitting on the couch, her face pale and drawn. She looked up as he entered, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and relief. "How is she?" Emily asked, her voice soft. "She's okay," Daniel said, sitting across from her. "Sleeping." Emily nodded, her hands tightening around the blanket. "I'm glad you found her." Daniel hesitated, his mind racing. "Emily. I need to know more about him. About the keeper. If we're going to stop him, I need to understand what we're up against." Emily looked away, her eyes filling with tears. "I've told you everything I know, Daniel. He's not just a man. He's something else. Something evil." Daniel frowned, his chest tightening. "What do you mean? What is he?" Emily hesitated, her voice trembling. "I don't know. But he talks about the symbol, the circle with the line through it. He says it's a mark, a sign of his power. And he uses it to claim us." Daniel's stomach churned at her words. "Claim you? What does that mean?" Emily hesitated, her eyes filling with tears. He brands us. With the symbol. It's how he marks us as his." Daniel's chest tightened, his mind reeling. The symbol wasn't just a clue, it was a brand, a mark of ownership. And if the keeper had been doing this for years, then there were likely dozens of victims out there, all marked by the same symbol. "Emily," Daniel said, his voice soft but urgent, "where is he now? Where does he take the kids?" Emily shook her head, her voice breaking. "I don't know. He moves us around, keeps us hidden. But there's a place. A place he calls the sanctuary. That's where he takes us when he's done. That's where he'll take Lily." Daniel's heart pounded. "Where is it? Where's the sanctuary?" Emily hesitated, her eyes filled with fear. "It's dangerous, Daniel. He'll kill you if he finds you." "I don't care," Daniel said, his voice firm. "I'm not leaving her. Not again." Emily looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "There's an old church, about 10 miles from here. It's abandoned, but he uses it as a holding place. That's where he'll take her." Daniel's grip tightened on the armrest. "Thank you, Emily. I'll bring her back. I promise." He stood, his mind racing. The church, it had to be the sanctuary. And if Lily was there, he had to move quickly. As he turned to leave, Emily's voice stopped him. "Daniel, be careful. He's not just a man. He's something else." Daniel frowned, but there was no time to ask what she meant. He had to move quickly, before it was too late. The drive to the church was a blur, his hands gripping the wheel as he pushed the car to its limits. The church came into view, its silhouette jagged against the night sky. The steeple was broken, the windows shattered, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. Daniel parked a short distance away, his heart pounding as he approached the church. The doors were heavy and reinforced, but they swung open with a creak, revealing a dark, cavernous interior. He moved cautiously, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The church was empty, its pews overturned and its walls lined with faded murals. But as he ventured deeper, he began to hear something, a faint, muffled cry. He followed the sound, his pulse quickening with every step. It led him to a door at the back of the church, its surface marked with the same symbol. He hesitated for a moment, his hand hovering over the knob. Then, taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The room inside was small and dimly lit, the walls lined with shelves cluttered with jars and boxes. In the center of the room was a cot, its sheets rumpled and stained. And lying on the cot, her face pale and drawn, was Lily. Daniel's heart ached at the sight. She was alive, but barely. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. He moved quickly, kneeling beside her and gently shaking her shoulder. "Lily," he whispered, his voice soft but urgent. "Lily, wake up. It's me. You're safe now. Her eyes fluttered open, and for a moment, she looked confused. Then recognition dawned, and she threw her arms around him, her small body trembling with sobs. I knew you'd come, she whispered, her voice breaking. Daniel held her tightly, his chest tight with emotion. I promised, didn't I? As he carried her out of the church, his mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. The man in the dark coat was still out there, and the symbol, the warnings, the unanswered questions, they all pointed to something darker, something more sinister. But for now, none of that mattered. Lily was safe. And that was enough. The weeks following the fundraising event were a whirlwind of activity and excitement for Clara. The success of the event had not only provided the necessary funds to sustain her workshops but had also sparked a renewed interest in the community. More participants began to attend, eager to explore their creativity and share their stories. Clara felt a sense of purpose radiating from her work, and with each session, she witnessed the transformative power of ART. As she prepared for her next workshop, Clara took a moment to reflect on how far she had come. Just a few months ago, she had been lost and alone, struggling to find her place in a world that often felt indifferent. Now, she was at the helm of something beautiful, a community built on empathy, resilience, and shared experiences. One evening, as Clara was organizing supplies for the workshop, Ethan arrived unexpectedly. He walked in with a bright smile and an envelope in hand. I have something for you, he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. What is it? Clara asked, curiosity piqued. Ethan handed her the envelope, and Clara opened it to find an invitation to showcase her work at a prominent local gallery. They want to feature your art and the stories from your workshops, he exclaimed. Clara's heart raced as she read through the details. This is incredible. But, why would they want to feature me? Because you've created something special, Ethan replied earnestly. Your art resonates with people, and your workshops have made a real impact in the community. This is your chance to reach an even wider audience. Clara felt a mix of exhilaration and fear wash over her. This was an opportunity she had once only dreamed about, a chance to share her journey and inspire others on a larger scale. But with that came the weight of expectation. What if she wasn't good enough? What if people didn't connect with her work? Are you okay? Ethan asked gently, noticing her hesitation. I'm just overwhelmed, Clara admitted, biting her lip. This is such a big step. Take your time to think about it, Ethan encouraged. But remember that you've already accomplished so much. You have a voice that deserves to be heard. With his words echoing in her mind, Clara took some time to reflect on the opportunity presented before her. She considered how far she had come, how she had transformed from a woman struggling to survive into someone who had built a community around art and healing. It was terrifying but also exhilarating. After several days of contemplation, Clara made her decision. She would accept the invitation and showcase her work at the gallery. It was time to step into the light and share not just her art but also the stories of those who had inspired her along the way. The night of the gallery opening arrived, and Clara stood nervously outside the venue, dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that made her feel confident. The building was buzzing with energy, people mingled outside while others admired the artwork displayed in the windows. As she stepped inside, Clara felt a wave of warmth wash over her. The atmosphere was vibrant and alive with creativity. She glanced around at familiar faces, friends from her workshops who had come to support her, and felt gratitude swell within her heart. Ethan appeared at her side, offering an encouraging smile. You're going to do great, he said reassuringly. Clara took a deep breath as they moved through the gallery together, stopping at each piece she had created, each one telling its own story filled with emotion and resilience. She felt proud of what she had accomplished but also nervous about sharing these pieces with strangers who might not understand their significance. As guests began to gather for speeches, Clara stood at the front of the room alongside Ethan, who introduced her warmly. Tonight is not just about showcasing Clara's art, it's about celebrating our shared humanity, he said passionately. When it was finally Clara's turn to speak, she stepped up to the microphone, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. She looked out at the crowd, faces filled with curiosity and kindness, and began to share her journey, how art had saved her life and how it could empower others facing similar struggles. "I believe that everyone has a story worth telling," Clara said, her voice steady despite the tremor of emotion beneath it. "Art has been my way of expressing those stories, of finding connection in places where I once felt isolated." As she spoke about her workshops and the incredible individuals who had inspired her along the way, participants who had bravely shared their own narratives, Clara noticed tears glistening in some eyes among the audience. When she finished speaking, applause erupted around her, a thunderous sound that filled Clara with warmth and affirmation. She felt seen. This was what she had longed for, a chance to connect deeply with others through shared experiences. Throughout the evening, guests approached Clara to express their appreciation for her work. Many shared their own stories of struggle and resilience inspired by what they had seen that night. Each interaction reinforced what she already knew: art could heal wounds unseen while forging connections between souls navigating similar paths through life's challenges together. As the night drew to a close and guests began to depart, the gallery filled with laughter and conversation. Clara stood back taking it all in. This was more than just an exhibition, it was a celebration of community, a testament proving that vulnerability could lead toward strength when embraced openly among kindred spirits. Ethan joined Clara as they watched attendees leave filled with inspiration. He turned toward her with pride shining in his eyes. "You did it. This was amazing." "I couldn't have done it without you," Clara replied sincerely, feeling gratitude swell within her chest once more for his unwavering support throughout this journey. As they stepped outside into the cool night air together, stars twinkling above like scattered diamonds against a deep blue canvas, Clara realized something profound. This wasn't just an end, it was merely another beginning. A continuation of growth rooted in empathy where every voice mattered, with newfound determination coursing through her veins alongside gratitude for this connection forged between them amidst shared struggles. She knew that whatever lay ahead, she would face it head-on surrounded by love, a beacon shining brightly amidst darkness, a testament proving that art could indeed heal wounds unseen while forging connections between souls navigating similar paths through life's challenges together.